Hello and welcome. This is the advanced carrier guide, so if you still have trouble doing torpedo bomber drops, implementing the techniques in this video isn't the most important thing for you to do. However, it would still be useful if you knew about all of these, so I would still recommend watching it. The outline of this video is going to be the following. First is the introduction, which is right now. Then I'll talk about automatic fighter defense, then mixing bombers when attacking carriers, and how the last orders for planes work. Then I'll talk about how to torpedo destroyers. Then how to fly outside the map and hide from enemy fighters. Then how to hug the map edge and how to deal with hugging the map edge. Then we'll take it a step further with hugging the corner and how to attack someone that's hugging the corner. And then some final thoughts. You can make fighters automatically defend a ship or a plane. You simply select the fighters and click on the ship. Now these fighters will automatically engage bombers that come near the ship, which is really useful if you can't pay attention to everything all the time. The idea behind mixing attacks against carriers is that you want to cause a fire and flooding, which forces a repair and then a fire and flooding again to maximize the damage output of the damage over time effects. Also, causing fire means the planes can't take off, so they have to repair, otherwise they are useless. The usual logic is to not repair on just flooding, only on fire, so you aren't neutered completely. Also, I would like to point out that when you are about to die, then doing manual attacks like this means that your planes have their last order set. If I would die right now to this attack, then those planes would still carry out their final attack, which means you should really do it essentially every time you're afraid you might actually die. And since I didn't know what was coming, I thought I might die, or very close to that. Since I don't, I'll just cancel.
Group 7, we're under attack. Group 8, taking fire.
So torpedoing destroyers looks like this. You drop from behind. This makes sure that the destroyer won't be turning right or left. And then you drop from the side again to make a cross pattern. So they have to take some torpedoes for sure. So the destroyer drop is essentially like similar to an anvil drop, the one where you drop from two sides. But the idea here is that you drop from behind, right? Your first drop goes like this. The idea is that when you drop from behind like this, this will actually make sure that the destroyer stays on course, because the torpedoes go about the same speed as the ship itself, right? Not that much faster, and then you can drop from the side like this. You can use it against other ship classes too, but destroyers is most useful usually. So let's say I'm in a match against another carrier. Essentially what you would want to do is take your torpedo bombers into the air, and dive bombers as well of course, and then sneak by the map edge, somewhere like here or here, you know, the usual. But since the enemy usually knows that, they will come meet you with their fighters and scout the map edges. So how do you avoid detection? Because he makes his fighters fly along here, and he will see your planes come in, and then take action. So one of the things you can do is, it's not that useful on this particular map, but on most others it is to fly outside the map. It works like this. You essentially start the drop here, like this, and then you drag like this. Now these planes all fly out of the map, and now you click on the map corner, and now look at the minimap, you cannot see these planes at all. And they will keep flying. Of course, if they get closer, you can just do another drop somewhere like this. and then just keep dragging. And they will keep flying outside, and then once you want, you can just click again, and it's easy as that. And if the enemy comes with fighters somewhere around here, they won't see it. So one of the things you can do defensively is to hog the map edge. This is seen as a scumbag tactic by many, and others call it cheating and many other nice things. However, you should note that this is an established game mechanic. Most people know how it works. The developers certainly do. They have expressed their dissatisfaction with this mechanic and that they want to change it, but they haven't for a very long time. So also it's probably not that difficult to change it for them. So this means that you should consider it as an accepted game mechanic and you should know how it works. If you want to use it, that's completely up to you. I would recommend it, at least in situations where it seems appropriate. So what's the deal? Essentially, when you go towards the map edge, you start sliding on it, which means that if I keep going at speed, I can turn at essentially full speed, although I'm not moving almost at all. But this helps you avoid some gunfire and all that, but most of that isn't really that important. The more important part in carrier against carrier fights is the following. Namely, manual torpedo bombing becomes more difficult there. If I want to drop here, I can just drop somewhere like this. However, if the ship is on the border somewhere like here, this is the closest I can go. When I bring my manual drop, it just does not go closer, regardless of where I move the cursor. So, this can help against inexperienced carrier players or people who don't know how this works. It also makes it a bit trickier for people who know how to do it, since they just don't have as much experience with it. But if the carrier is perpendicular to the line like this, there are ways you can fight it. One of the first things you can do is, if you bring your torpedo bombers really close to the edge, you can do the drop like this. See, like this, I can drop really close. And it's not a problem at all to hit the carrier like that. Which means that you probably shouldn't be like this when you're defensively doing it. And if you're doing it offensively, then remember this, it's important. There's another way. So this means you really want to have your carrier be aligned with the map edge. So if the carrier is aligned like this, some of the things you can do are the following. One is to essentially look at how fast the carrier is going and then drop from further away, like this. The idea is that since the carrier can only turn towards you or keep going straight, some of those torpedoes will still hit. If the carrier turns this way, that is towards the border, then what will happen is that he'll still keep sliding on it, and if you torpedo like this, some of the torpedoes will still hit. Okay, that's decent, but not good enough. I would like to drop close, you know, like normally. So, what you do is you combine what you know about how to fly outside of the map border. Namely, you essentially go towards the border, then you start the drop, click on here, and now you turn this, and now you can move this drop closer, like this. And now we have a drop that's next to the carrier from the outside. Note that this is really difficult to do if you haven't ever tried it.
We're all below the waterline. We're flooding quickly.
But it works, and you can just try it and get better at it. The main idea is that you can just do a drop. If you select the drop here, I can click on this marker here. And whoops, I can click on this marker here and drag it around like this, and it will change where the drop happens. and then use this to change the direction. So this deals with the map edge essentially. Of course it's not perfect, but that's why it's a useful defensive mechanic to have. Since everyone loved the map hogging, let's take it a step further. Let's hog the actual corner of the map. I mean, you can't even see the corner because the minimap is in the way, which is easy to deal with. I hope you know this, that you can increase and decrease the size of the minimap with the plus and minus keys on your numpad, like this. Oh look, it's the carrier in the corner. So, if you combine the effects of two borders, the following happens. You can't go closer on this side and you can't go closer on that side, so the closest drop is like this, which is really unfortunate. So you see carriers being at this 45-degree angle here. So if I drop from this side, the carrier sees it and just turns the other way. I mean, he sees the planes coming in, so he starts his turn. And look, he takes like one torpedo at most. And not even that in this case. So this is really annoying, right? How do you deal with this? Well, one of the things you can do is, since the carrier player sees this, that I'm coming in from this side and he's turned that way, that my planes are going there, he starts turning the other way, right? To avoid it, so I can't drop to his side like this. Okay, so the carrier turns this way, you fly your planes close and then pull back. Since he sees this, now he panics, or maybe he doesn't panic, but he's showing his broadside and you can do your drop from this side now. And look,
returning to ship.
He's already screwed. He takes at least 3 of these torpedoes, which might actually kill me right now. I hope not. So the best way to deal with this kind of corner hogging is the same as with the map edge hogging. You go in, you do your drop like this, right? Now you drag this here, and now you just move the marker closer like this. And you can do your manual drop now, which should incidentally kill me. Maybe, maybe not, we'll see. But that's essentially the idea how you would do this kind of a drop. Of course you can always just go back to tricking him. That will obviously be easier to execute, but you can still drop close from the outside. So I hope you now know how to deal with corner hogging more or less. But also note that you should probably use it in times you actually need it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you haven't subscribed already, then please do so. And thanks for watching.